Welcome to the second half of a very special episode of Cutoff Genes, the podcast that teaches you how to find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, and I'm a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
I'm Richard Castle, the producer, and I am really excited about hearing part 2 of this interview with your friend Betsy because number 1 was very, very interesting.
It was, wasn't it?
It's fun to hear other people's stories. You know, I think about all the people on the Facebook page, and everybody's got a story. So people, if you are on the Facebook page, or even if you're not, you should, perhaps think about joining the group and adding your story. Maybe Julie will want to speak with you on the podcast sometime.
Yeah, reach out, guys. If you have a nutty DNA-related story, reach out to me. I actually just did an interview the other day with listener Stacy Jaross that we're going to hold on to for a bit, but you'll hear it soon. And love talking to you guys. Love hearing your stories. Everyone's different, and it's super fun and I think educational for everybody. All right, so we're going to take a break, and after that is the second half of Betsy's interview.
If you're enjoying Cutoff Genes, please subscribe, rate, and review.
So let me first say that when I found my biological mother, the first thing you said to me was it everything you'd hoped it would be? Was it wonderful? Did all your dreams come true? And I remember thinking, well, no, but that's not what I was looking for. But I wanted answers. And it's funny because your feeling about it was different than mine. Your impression was that because I so desperately wanted my answers much earlier than you did, must be because I was looking for something better.
Well, our story between your story changed for me along the way.
Okay, tell me.
So, when we were in high school, we talked about it a lot, right? About being adopted. Not a lot, but we talked about it.
Obviously.
But there was there wasn't any in-depth conversation. But your story had changed for me because it was a little different feeling than when we were in high school.
Yeah. Our relationship, we actually didn't become very good friends until after you'd already graduated high school. That was when we were the closest. After you graduated high school, it was my senior year. You were my best friend that year.
Yeah.
And you didn't go to school with me.
No, and I think, the story changed because I was over at your house a lot, and you were over at my house a lot and stuff. And your mom, I remember your mom giving me cheese toast with that, whatever that cheese was.
Coon cheese.
Yes, which I can never find to this day.
Because it's Australian.
And, well, you never told me that in the beginning. And I have no idea how she got it. And, she sat there and watched our little plays, and she would sit there and watch your dancing that you would make up and all that.
I don't know what she's talking about.
No, you did this to flash dance or something like that.
Oh, that was me and Stephanie.
And no, I was sitting there, and your mom sat there as you came up with this, and I don't know if it was flash dance, but you came up with this dance routine of your own. And she sat there. It wasn't your dad, because I remember your dad always working.
Was that at my house?
It was at the apartment over on Mountain View, just around the corner from my house.
Mount
Vista, yeah.
Mount Vista Villas, everybody.
Yeah, right around the corner from where I grew up.
Right, very close. That's right.
And I remember your mom being so nice to sit there and watch. And I was like, I wish my mom would do that. Of course, I didn't dance like you did.
That's so funny. Wait, that is so funny because I always felt like my parents weren't interested in watching me perform. And you're saying that your parents weren't interested in watching you perform.
Well, no, I did. Well, they were, but not me making up something at the house and making them sit there.
Because I don't recall doing that. That's funny.
They went to every single play that I had. My parents did.
Yes.
Every single play, every single musical and everything.
Yes.
But my mom couldn't be bothered to sit down and watch something that I made up. My mom worked like 3 jobs. She ironed clothes. She did a daycare.
She was a workhorse.
Yeah. So, and my dad always worked. So it was totally different circumstances. But I remember, because your mom was a stay-at-home mom, correct? Mm-hmm. And I remember your mom sitting there watching you dance. And I was like, that's so cool.
Bless her heart. So the next time we talked about it was when I had found Malcolm.
I can't remember how I really got intrigued. I think it's when you found Malcolm it was. And I was like, holy cow, right? This is the truth. Where I thought, well, maybe I should look. Maybe I'll get lucky.
Okay.
And they had a sale on Ancestry.com. You
Sure.
told me about it.
Yes.
And that's when I finally was like, okay, maybe I should do this because they're having a sale.
Right.
And then because I'd never really, I don't know why.
Ancestry, most people test at these direct-to-consumer companies because they are advertised as finding out about your ethnicity. What they don't talk about is how good they are, or how good this kind of testing is at relative matching. And so for me, I was excited to get your results so that I could dig into and see if I could come up with answers for you.
Yeah. So
Even though I didn't really want as many answers as I did for you.
And then I got excited. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, this is interesting. And then my thought was, and I think I messaged you, I said, what if Marie isn't my mother? Or not my mother, but not my biological birth person. Yes. What if she is not the person that gave birth to me, right?
Interesting. Okay.
So then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what if that isn't true or anything? So after I take the test and I send it in, I was like, And I remember that I'm friends with Kenda, and you know how the algorithms work with Facebook. They don't all show up if you don't keep looking or talking or conversing or liking or whatever. So I reached out to Kenda and I said, hey, have you ever done Ancestry.com? Have you ever done this? Have you ever looked into this? Do you remember anything about what Marie said? Do you think I asked her, when you went through Marie's stuff, did you find anything on my possible biological paternal side, father, and whatever? And so she goes, no, but ask Billy because he did it. And it probably took several days, and he responded back because I had never, ever responded to him. He said, well, I don't know. Ask Michelle. She handles all that.
Who's Michelle?
Michelle is his fiance.
Okay.
And so they've been together for 11 years. So I messaged Michelle, and she gave me his information, and he was on Ancestry.com.
That's good, because the reason that's good is because now that, first of all, it'll tell you whether or not he's your half-brother,
Right.
and it'll also enable you to separate your maternal and paternal matches.
Right. I get it back, and Billy is definitely, and Marie was my biological birth person. Billy and Kenda, well, Billy at that time, Billy was a biological sibling.
Yes.
So we found that out.
Yes. So that was confirmed. Marie was your mother.
Right. Because I really never thought that she wasn't.
Yeah, but it's nice to have that confirmation.
Yeah, and
particularly with what happened to me.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So it was a really good confirmation to have. So I'm like, okay, we got that cleared up. I talked to his fiance more than I talked to him because she was so stinking excited.
Yep.
Michelle, lovely. I love her to death. She is so sweet. And she was so excited that we had connected and everything, because I hadn't talked to him in years since Marie's death. Well, actually, I hadn't talked to Billy until I talked to him that one day, very briefly. And, I thought I had to get the heck out of Dodge.
Sure.
And as it turned out, Billy, it would be 12 years ago now, became sober when he met Michelle.
Congratulations, Billy.
And Michelle, who is a wonderful person, he figured out that she was worth the weight in gold and had gotten sober.
Yay!
And so he's been sober for 12 years now, I believe. It could be more than that. And as it turns out, here's the shocker, they live in Burbank, Washington. And that is only 45 minutes away from me.
Go figure.
Uh-huh. They decide to come over here, and they come over here for dinner, and we all meet.
Okay, wait, this was how long ago? Was this after I started looking at your matches?
Yes.
Okay.
This was last August.
Right.
Last August. So they come over, and we all meet. They bring pictures of Marie in her younger years.
Was that the first time you'd seen those?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'd never seen any pictures of Marie before.
Oh, that's great.
So they brought pictures of Marie.
That's really great to have.
Yeah. That was good. So it was a good meeting. And since then, Kenda lives over in Tacoma, so it's harder for her to get here with her schedule. But since then, Billy's been over here again before. He came to we do a lot of entertaining. He came to one of our parties. But you think that we live so close.
At the Haddon compound.
At the Haddon compound.
It's delightful.
But he brought up that there is another boy out there.
Oh, right. He'd said that a few years ago. Right.
Well, no, he said that back in 2000.
Right, but you thought that it was...
Jump forward to 2000.
And he
Last year was
still- and he still
2017.
believed that.
And I'm like, really?
Okay.
And he said, yes. And I said, you know what? I didn't believe you. I said, you told me that when I met you, and he doesn't remember meeting me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he doesn't remember meeting me. He doesn't remember saying that or anything like that. Yeah, so he brought that up, and he said, no, I know. He goes, there's another boy. I remember it.
So that's what you knew.
Right.
Oh, that's what you were told.
Right. And so I was like, okay. And still, you remember that, but he was still really young. So how do you remember that?
Yeah, maybe he dreamed it or.
And not all of us are buying it. I don't think Kenda was buying it. I don't know. How do you remember that? Because he was young. No, he had gone to stay with his Uncle Kelly. And his Uncle Kelly told him that mom was in the hospital having a baby boy, whatever.
Oh, okay.
So, which is interesting.
Yes.
I think it was October. I think it was the first part of October. You messaged me because you've been working on trying to find
Right. I've
my
been
birth
working on
parent
your
on
paternal
the
side.
paternal side.
Correct.
And you say, what do you know about Owen? And I said, well, what do you mean? She goes, well, somebody popped up and it looks like he's going to be your brother, biological sibling. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what? So I jump on to Ancestry.com because I'm not on there as much as you are.
Nobody is.
And lo and behold, there's a new match. A Facebook message Kenda and Billy and let him know that the boy popped up. And Billy was ecstatic, to find another sibling. Family is very, very important to Billy. So I went to Facebook and searched for Owen and found out that he lived in Onalaska, Washington. Onalaska, Washington is maybe
Very close to Central.
20 minutes outside of Centralia. I just knew it had to have been him.
Of course. Yeah.
So I sent him a message through Ancestry, and I sent him a message through Facebook, and I got nothing. Now, I'm a very impatient person.
Me too.
And so I think it was only 2 days went by, and I didn't get anything. And I'm like, how am I going to find this guy? I was like, dang, I got 2 cousins that live in Onalaska. So I reached out to both of them, asked if they knew Owen, and my cousin Anita, she knew about him. And so I asked Anita if she would go and reach out to him and say that I had Facebooked them and everything, and she did. She went and said, Betsy thinks that she knew that Owen was adopted. So Owen's wife is the one that reached out to me. And he wasn't expecting to find anybody. And Owen was a lot like me. His parents were his parents. He came from a very well-known farming family there. And he actually went on Ancestry, and his kids did it for him. Mm-hmm. And that's why they did it. He did not expect to find anybody.
Of course.
Let alone 2 sisters and a brother.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a jackpot right there.
So I talked to her for quite some time over Facebook, never talked to Owen. I gave her my phone number and everything. Well, if he wants to reach out, and Billy was besides himself. He really wanted to know, are we going to meet him? Is he going to come over? And I was like, I don't know. I was getting ready to leave for a weekend trip to the Wallowas. And just before I got ready to leave, Owen called me out of the blue, and I got this call. And I was like, hello. And he goes, this is Owen. I was like, Owen, as in Owen that was on Ancestry.com. And he's like, yeah. And he goes, well, I just want to know, I know about you. And it's sinking in. I gotta figure this out. And then, I just want to let you know that I'm here, and I'm going to think about it, and I'll get back to you. And that was it.
But that's lovely that he at least reached out to you to let you know that he wasn't ignoring you. He was processing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that weekend I was going away to the Wallowas. I went away for the weekend, and I get a call from Michelle. And this is like on Saturday.
Michelle is, again?
It is Billy's fiance.
Right.
And she goes, oh my God, Owen's on his way over here. I was like, what? And apparently him and Billy had been talking. And Billy was ecstatic that he had a brother. He had 2.
Yeah.
So he was ecstatic, and Owen actually couldn't handle it anymore. So it's only a 4-hour drive, I think, from that neck of the woods coming over White Pass, I think. Anywho, he drove over there, and he ended up going to Billy's house on a Saturday and stayed with him and met him and everything. And they hit it off. So I got up early the next day. They wanted to come over for lunch or whatever, so I just got up early the next day. Billy made ribs. They came over and we all met. And that was about it.
Okay. So was that...
He's shorter too.
He's shorter too. Are you the only tall one?
Yeah. I'm the only tall one.
Oh man, your father must be a basketball player.
We are all three have different paternal sides.
Yeah.
Or all four of us have different paternal sides.
Okay, so you have now met all three of your half siblings,
Right.
But you still do not know who your biological paternal side is.
No.
Okay, so while all this was happening with Owen, I was building a mirror tree for Betsy from her closest matches. What I discovered very quickly from her close matches is that she is clearly a part of one particular family with one particular name, and she has an extraordinary amount of matches with that name in their tree. And I won't say what it is. So Betsy's closest paternal match is a lady named Carolyn. She matches her at 532 centimorgans, which means she could either be a great-great aunt or niece, a half-great aunt or niece, half first cousin, or a first cousin once removed. In these cases, first cousin once removed is usually what it is. So I have that in my head that it's got to be that. All right, so Carolyn's father had 10 children. They are from northeastern Kentucky, guys. This family is very well known in northeastern Kentucky.
Which we should say Carolyn has been lovely.
Carolyn has been so helpful, as has Jackie, her sister-in-law, who is her brother's wife. She's been lovely. And I've spoken to several members of the family, and they've been nothing but delightful and helpful. So it's wonderful. I've actually feel like I have a relationship with these people now.
You have more spoken to them than I have.
Well, you will, because I know what questions to ask.
Right. I've only spoken to Carolyn, who is very, very lovely and wants to help.
Yes, they all want to help, and we just need to get to the bottom of this, guys.
And I should say now, at this point, I'm more curious than anything. It's like a detective.
Well, yeah, because we've come so far, and normally I can solve a case in anywhere from 2 hours to 2 days to 2 weeks. 2 weeks is probably the longest I've gone in having to solve a case. It's been a year now since I've been working on Betsy's case, and I'm getting closer, but it's certainly not conclusive at all. Carolyn's father had 10 children, 5 daughters and 5 sons. Her grandfather had 10 or 11 children. Now, either of these lines would make sense for Betsy and Carolyn to be half first cousin from one line or a first cousin once removed from another line. So that's what I'm focusing on. I spent weeks trying to connect the dots, like I said, with the help of this family. One thing that could be a factor that concerned me in the beginning is endogamy. And I've talked about endogamy before, in that it's from isolated communities where there's a lot of intermarrying because nobody really leaves and nobody really comes in. So the DNA kind of gets messed up, and you tend to match people higher than you should because you have so many parts of DNA from that family from different parts of the same family, if that makes any sense. So I was concerned about that. This family is huge. Let me just say that, as I said, there were 10 brothers and sisters on each level. And I thought it would be easy. It's not been easy. And I've managed to rule out several of them. And I've also discovered some interesting things about this family that I think a lot of them still don't know, and it's not conclusive, but I've researched them so much that some of it makes sense. The one that I think is the most interesting is there is one uncle of Carolyn's who I believe may not be an uncle at all, but a cousin. I have the 1920 census here, and I'm going to show that to Betsy. And if you look, these are the parents right here, and these are the kids that are still living at home.
Which I should mention, she didn't show this to me before.
No.
I think there's a few things she's
I like to spring things on
retaining
people.
for shock
Although
factor.
this may not mean anything to your case, but it's a clue, I think. So look at the kids and then look at their ages and go to the bottom two and tell me what you see as far as their statistics go.
I don't know, because I don't know what's on top.
Okay.
Didn't.
Oh, well, that doesn't matter. This is their family. This is the father's name. No, this is the father's name.
Okay.
And this is the mother's name. See, it says head and then wife. And now this one right here, the top one is their oldest daughter. No, their youngest daughter, but the older daughter is already married and out of the house. And she is how old? 18? Does that say 18 or 16? I'm looking at it upside
18.
down. Okay, then we go down to all these brothers that are still there. Then we get to the last two brothers. This is the 1920 census. Now we'll go across and we look at the ages. Do you see
6'4".
Nope, look at here. The yellow one is also a brother.
6'4", 3.5.
Right, one is 4 and one is 3.5.
Oh.
And they're supposed to be brothers. Now, so I went back and found out and precisely when each of these boys were born. And they were born 7 months apart. So there is no way that they are full siblings, obviously.
Especially back in that time. Maybe this time, but that meant, when she popped out, the person that was 4.
Yeah. Right.
So that didn't happen.
Right. So I'm thinking, and this is something that happened a lot, I believe this daughter here is this person's mother.
Huh.
And I think that she was obviously young and unmarried. She was 16 or 18. And, no, she was 16 or 15 when she had him because he was 3.5
right.
at this point. And I think he was just kind of blended into the family as one of the kids. And then a few years later, the sister, who was really the mother, went off and got married and had her own kids. In the meantime, he was considered a brother, but he was actually a nephew or a son. So I believe that he could have been your father because that you have a match on Ancestry that is one of his daughter's daughters, and she matches you as a half first cousin. Does that make sense? No. She matches you. Okay, I can't remember what it is, but this person matches him in a way that would make you, from the way she matches you, her half first cousin. There could be other things it could be too, but that fits.
Is he still alive?
No, none of these people are still alive, unfortunately. But his grandchildren are still alive. Actually, no, 2 of his daughters are still alive, and one of them is taking a DNA test.
Oh, really?
Yes. So we're waiting for that. I already got word that her first test failed, so they have to send another test.
Oh, really?
Right. So from what I can tell from all of the possibilities here, they would have been older men. So this is a possibility that I'm looking at, and having the daughter test is going to give me an answer either way. It will either cancel him out and
so
take
you're
him out of the
having
running.
the kid that was 3.5. You're having him test his daughter. Right.
Yes, who is still alive, and she's in her 80s.
Where does she live?
There's another Arizona.
Ooh.
Yes.
Not Kentucky.
So she would be your half sister. How do you feel about that? Okay.
Well, she would be a half biological sibling. I guess you could say half sister.
Okay.
Because I do kind of think, Bill is he my brother? No. But I do have an affection for Bill, and Kenda, because they are connected to us.
That's
But
funny. It's funny the way you do that. You put it, you make it very clear every time that, well, not my brother or not my sister.
Well, but they consider me to be their brother and sister. But I don't.
So you feel like they're more open to being considered a sister or
Yes,
brother.
when Owen texts me or Bill or anything, they refer to my sister. So Bill was here for one of my parties, and I did introduce him as my brother.
How'd that feel?
He was a brother that I found. I mean, it was okay, but and so I don't want them to take this wrong at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I grew up, the same way with him. Kenda was his sister. So, I grew up with a very tight-knit, lovely family.
Do you
and my
feel
brothers are
like-
my brothers and my sisters are my
Right,
sisters.
right. So
So
do
it's a
you-
different type of brother, and I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah. Do you feel like acknowledging these people as your siblings is somehow betraying the memory of your parents?
Yes.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yes, definitely.
It's not, but I understand that you
Definitely,
feel
and
that
I
way.
think that
And
Owen-
I've been accused of that myself,
Yeah.
by the way, which is not true.
Yeah, I think Owen feels somewhat the same way, although I can't put the words in his mouth.
Yeah.
But him and I come from a different side than Kenda
Right.
and Bill.
Right.
Right? We all have the same connection of the same mother. We have a different biological
Right.
father, so to speak. So it's a totally, here's the thing, it's a totally different feeling of what they're feeling and what I'm feeling.
Of course, because you're all individuals.
You're right,
and
right.
you've all
And
had
I grew up in a different family
experiences.
than what he grew up in and
Yeah.
stuff. But his mother, who he totally loved, had other kids, and so those other kids are his brother and sister. So I get
course.
that.
Yeah.
And and it sounds all confusing. I know it does. But,
But it doesn't, and it's not for anybody else to tell you how you're supposed to feel
right.
either.
Right.
We all have our paths and our journeys, and what you feel is valid and what he feels is valid, and we just need to understand that the only truth here is that two things can be true. You can still love your biological parents. I mean, you can still love your adoptive parents, but you can be curious about your biological people.
Exactly.
And one doesn't discount the other.
Right. And the main thing, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings,
Of course.
because that's not what it's about.
It's not, no.
And now it's like, it's a mission.
Right. So now we have to get to the bottom of this.
It's a
And
mission.
we're going to.
I want to find them, and I also want there is a missing link now.
Now there is, because
There is-
we've built so much
Right.
towards it.
So now there's a missing link, and I want to close that link.
Yeah.
Because I want to find out on the medical side. Mm-hmm. Because it's so important.
Yeah.
I don't think people really understand.
It's very important.
It used to be, oh, you're adopted. Well, yeah.
Whatever. Oh, well, too bad. Guess we're not going to know anything.
Yeah, and so it's so important, especially with the medical scares that I've gone through. So here's an interesting thing. Mm-hmm. When I talked to Carolyn, because you hooked me up with Carolyn, you put us together, and she agreed to talk to me. She's a lovely lady.
Yes.
So helpful and everything. And so here's the thing that really made me think about it. I was asking her about health. Medical in her family, and asking her, and they didn't have a lot of medical, there wasn't any medical scares or anything that really ran,
Right.
except that she came from a very large family, and I think it's 6 of them.
Of her siblings?
Yeah.
No, she's one of 10 kids.
No, but 6 of them from that 10 have AFib.
6 of have AFib?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
6 of them
That's
have
important.
AFib. She has AFib.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, I have AFib.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh my gosh. So here comes the whole
That's
medical
an aha
thing.
moment, yeah.
That's like, I really need to figure this out.
Correct.
So it's AFib. So I go to my cardiologist and I'm like, guess what? I've got some family history. Mm-hmm. And I said, I found a family member, and there is 6 people in the family that have AFib. And then he blew my bubble and said, it's not genetic.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. I was onto something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not genetic, but it makes you wonder, right?
AFib is actually more
If my
common, I think.
cardiologist is listening
Yeah.
to this, which he could possibly be, sorry. You just tend to wonder if there's 6 people in that family that have siblings that have AFib, and I have AFib.
Apparently, AFib is more common than we thought.
Yeah,
My dad
apparently.
had AFib, too.
That's pretty much what he said, too.
Yeah.
So, but,
Interesting.
but still, with that, I really got to know.
Yep. So so that's what's going on, guys. And I have that one test out. Now, Betsy has 3 other very close matches. 2 of them match as highly now as Carolyn does, which means possibly first cousin once removed or half first cousin. And then there's a third one that just came up recently that matches her as a first cousin. Very close. And neither of these 3 people have responded or give information. And in all of my illustrious career of detective work, I cannot break it. But I'm going to. And I believe that finding these people, specifically the first one, is going to be the answer and tell us. All right. So so far in this journey, I've constructed this huge tree, and I have managed by new matches coming in from different of these uncles of Carolyn's, from different uncles who are descendants of them, don't match you high enough, but do match you, but I can cancel their fathers out as your father. So I'm down to about 4 people it could be.
Yeah.
So we're getting there.
Getting close.
Yeah, we're getting close, and we will, and I can't.
Well, I
wait.
really appreciate this.
Hey, it's what I do.
Because I just kind of leave it all up to you because
Well,
you talk these things about this and percentage of this and all that other stuff, and it's like, it's overwhelming. Although, when I first started this, I was really addicted. You and I were on the phone and on Facebook together talking and looking at the same time when my results got in.
Right. It's very addictive. I know. So we're going to get there, hopefully in the next year. Of all the cases, I've solved 12 cases in the last year, something like that, and the only one I haven't been able to solve is yours, which makes me feel badly.
I am, you're.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay,
you're welcome.
For really challenging me. Actually, that's exactly what you would do if I'm honest. All right, so that's going to be the end of this.
Okay.
Thank you so much for sharing your story.
Well, thank you for coming to Walla Walla and flying on the very small flying tube.
It was an experience.
So I appreciate that.
I have to get on one again tomorrow to leave.
Isn't it going to be fabulous? Yeah. Yes. So the next time I come and see you.
Yes, the next time you come see me. So yeah, that's the end of that. And I'm going to end this interview, and I'll be back right after this break.
Thank you for listening to Cutoff Genes, the new podcast starring Julie Dixon Jackson.
Okay, that is the end of the second half of Betsy's interview. I really had a great time hanging out with Betsy and talking to her and spending some quality time in Walla Walla, Washington. That's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this extra bonus episode. There's so much happening in the next episode, so stand by, and that's just a few days from now. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Come on back and see us for episode 19. And always remember, the truth is in your genes.